Well, I'd start off with saying how impressed I was with Nicholls State. I thought they played their tails off. They were physical. You could tell how much it meant to those young men to play here in Tiger Stadium and have a chance to play LSU. They were physical, and they controlled the clock. Made it a great football game from that perspective. You know, again, I'm happy we won the football game, but certainly there's a lot of areas that you know I'm looking at the things that we have to do better. Certainly, that was a team that was tired, did not play its very best. And, we had a long week. It was a short week. We had to go back out and practice on Tuesday, and it showed. It did. They worked their tails off this week, but they just did not have the same energy, the same snap, the same kind of physicality that they had against USC. And again, I started my comments with saying a lot of that. Nicholls State just did a great job. They were physical. They controlled the football. They did a lot of great things. So, from that perspective, again, 44-21 at the end of the day. We have to be able to look at the film and say, listen, this is who we are, and these are the things we have to go to work on this week, getting ready for South Carolina team that looked really good against Kentucky. But look, each week is a week in itself. So be careful about the narratives of this team is this team is that. I know what this team can be. I watched them play against USC. They did not finish very well against USC. They need to be a complete four-quarter football team. We've got to run the ball more effectively, certainly. I thought we did some really good things late. I thought Zy Alexander came in and competed for the football, had some PBUs, and I thought we settled down. Obviously we had the one touchdown where we had a missed assignment on a Wildcat offensive play. But again, my perspective again is this is going to be a good football team. This was a week that this team was taxed and didn't play its very best and still won, 44-21. So with that, open up to questions.
Coach, you threw for 300 yards, you threw 6 touchdowns, but you said you need to run the ball better. Can you elaborate on what you're seeing down there and why aren't the runs popping free?
Yeah, I mean, I got to look at the film more closely, to really evaluate, the run game more effectively. Obviously they gave us an opportunity with a lot of man coverage opportunities to throw the football. So it's so hard to kind of, come in here and say, well, we should have done this, we should have done that in the running game. We want a running game that balances our offense, but I know there were a lot of plays that we checked out of at the line of scrimmage because of the extra hat, so to speak, which is part of our offense.
Coach, over here. And then in that same vein, what about your rushing defense? How did Nicholls sort of open up a few rushing lanes, particularly in the first half?
I think the one that, we were disappointed with was the one that we didn't, execute, was the long run by the quarterback. What did they have, 150 yards? And on that one run, the quarterback ran for, what was it, 67 yards. So, I mean, 38 carries for, 96 yards, less than 4 yards a rush. I mean, so, they came in to run the ball. The two things that bothered me was the long drive right before the half, not getting off the field there, and then the long quarterback run. After that, we kind of, settled in, pretty good, and again, we have to be more physical, clearly, on both sides of the ball.
Coach, could you tell that your team was maybe a little bit fatigued heading into this game, and and if that's not the case, then when did you sort of try to figure that out then?
No, I mean, you get back at 5 a.m. on Monday, and then we played on Sunday, and so you play on Sunday, you don't have the normal recovery, against a very good opponent that went right down to the last second, and we got long travel back. Look, I'm not here to make a million excuses, but that was a team that was fatigued, and it affected them. Now, that's not going to be their best work, and we still were able to, win by 23 points, and they're not going to say that was their A work. We have to do a lot of things better. So we're going to watch the film. We're going to critically evaluate it. We're going to say, look, we have to bite down harder next time if you're in that kind of situation. But, again, that wasn't our best work.
And with Jacoby and Guillory, how's his ankle?
I didn't get a report yet. We'll get a little bit more. I'm sure they're going to have some imaging and make sure that they get all of the information before we make any, decisions on what it exactly was.
Yeah, Brian, can you talk about the boost Xavier Thomas gave you in the return game? Seemed to really pick you all up a lot.
No doubt, and I think his presence back there obviously allows us better field position. We struggled a lot last couple of years with the punt return game. He's been able to get us great field position. He obviously is a weapon for us, and again, I think that's what we were looking for when we went into the portal. Somebody that could do that. Obviously, he got that one opportunity. Maybe he got a little too aggressive in terms of taking that out of the end zone. He's probably a little too deep. But yeah, he's been an important part of our special teams.
And you talk about the narrative and being careful with it. How do you gauge what your team is capable of when they seem to be a little bit all over the place?
Well, I think you have to look at the bits and pieces of it, right? I mean, putting a consistent performance together is what we're looking for, and we haven't done that yet. But it's early in the season, and look, you got to go on the road against a South Carolina team that's going to have a lot of momentum, coming off a great win against Kentucky. So, the clock's ticking, right? You got to be able to put these things together now for 4 quarters. We had some nice momentum there offensively, but we've got to get balance running the ball. And then defensively, I thought we got some really good series in the second half. After we cut the quarterback loose on the long run, they really never threatened again. So it's again, it's kind of what I talked about last week. We never really complimented our defense at any time. When they started to play well, we went 3 and out 3 times in a row and actually went backwards. So we've got to get to complementary football, and we've got to be, more physical on both lines. And if that doesn't happen soon, then we will be talking about things that we don't want to talk about.
Coach, just knowing Bo Davis, can't imagine he was very happy with the 65-yard rushing touchdown or just the way that, you defended the run today. I'm just wondering, can you kind of describe what he said to the team, what his message was, what specifically he wants them to work on?
Yeah, I mean, his guys played pretty good inside. Our safeties fits are part of the run. Our linebacker fits are part of the run. Our corners, they're all responsible. again, and that's the whole thing, right? Everybody assumes that it's the defensive tackles. There were 2 times that we had a stunt on for our defensive end, and he didn't squeeze it. So, it's 11 guys doing their job on the defensive side of the ball, and that's kind of what we have to look at, right? Is getting the job done consistently, and we got a lot better at it later in the third and fourth quarter, but then we have some mental errors, so we've got to clean those things up.
Coach, what did you make of the younger group that you sent out on defense tonight, specifically with Spears and Jackson? And going forward, I guess, did those guys show you something that you can, run away with a positive into next week?
I got to watch the film. I mean, like I said, the only guy that really jumps out at me, I know I was pleased with Whit Weeks, his active role, and Zay Alexander. Those guys jumped out at me, and again, I got to watch the film to give you a really good answer to that. But those are the 2 guys that jumped out to me, and I'm sure probably you guys too.
What did you see from Garrett, especially after he went down and came back and battled?
Yeah, I mean, Garrett he's a really effective and efficient thrower of the football. And we saw tonight that, when he gets the opportunity, he can run the football for us. He had a couple of opportunities when they were in drop 8s. They were in drop 8 a couple times. They played some 2-man. And, he used his legs. He's very athletic. He can certainly do that. Garrett Nussmeier is nowhere near any of the issues that we have. I mean, we got to run the football, and he's not the running back. He's not the offensive line. And again, I think that's, if there's any things that we need to kind of, settle, is we got to really look closely at what we're doing in the run game. And the players are good enough. We got to coach better. And that is on me. Defensively, we are who we are. I mean, there's nobody else on I can't, we're not benching anybody. I mean, the guys we got are the guys we got. I mean, we played without our best defensive tackle the whole game. So the guys we have in there, we're going to keep coaching them. We got to get them better. And they're going to have to play next week against South Carolina just better than they played this week.
We got time for 2 more. Bryce. Coach, right here. I know you said you're going to have to go back and look at the film at a lot of different things, but could you just talk a little bit about what you saw from how well prepared mentally a guy like Juwan Johnson and Caden were when their number was called? I believe like Juwan's first snap, he came off the field, and I think you had some words for him. Just what did you see out of those guys and going forward, how they can impact
I love those guys. I mean, I think that they're, Juwan in particular had 48 hours to pick up a number of different things, and he picked them up naturally. He's going to continue to grow within our offensive structure, and love coaching him. He's just wide-eyed, has a great sense of the game, and he'll pick things up quickly. Caden is a guy that we have a lot of faith in. His speed is electric, and he's going to continue to get better. But he's a true freshman, and he's competing with some other guys as well. I thought we saw Caleb run with better vision tonight. So there's a lot of young players in there getting some work, and I think they're improving.
Coach, so Juwan, you just talked about him and his movement to offense. What were just some of the qualities, knowing that he was a quarterback also at LCA, and what were some of the thoughts that you've seen from him in practice that, as a staff, that made y'all want him to move that position to running back?
Well, I think first of all, he was going to play on all of our special teams, and so it was important that we got him involved on one side or the other, whether it was defense or offense. And with the way we're playing our defensive structure, he wasn't going to get a lot of playing time there. So we knew on offense there were enough roles that we could get him involved. And so he's going to play with some running back, some slot receiver. He can do a lot of different things, and we can craft an offensive structure around him. And what we found out is he picks things up really well. So it was a decision that we were going to play him as a freshman. He was already involved in a lot of special teams, and he was able to pick things up really quickly. All right, thank you. What's that? Okay.